What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight we're going to be breaking down game number 7 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, dropping this one to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm on the same wavelength right here, right now, as the Toronto Maple Leafs were tonight in Columbus. That is, Columbus dropping this one 6-2 to the Blue Jackets. Scrambled brain here to start the show already. That's no good. This was a scrambled brain moment for me to start this one. This was an absolute gong show for the Leafs here tonight. I see right away a couple of things in the chat. Robert, break this shit down. Hey, Zach, turn this one into a positive. There are not many positives to take from tonight. The biggest positive is that basically you don't dwell on the things that went on here in this game. You take this one, you throw it in the trash, you never speak of it again, you burn the tape, you pretend it never happened, and you just move on. That's the positive. If there's a positive for this game tonight, that is essentially it. It is that you can just not analyze this at all, because it was so tough, so horrible to watch, that you just don't even want to have to experience this again. As a fan, as a media member, as a person, a part of the organization, you just want to take this and forget that it ever happened. Men in Black, the little thing in your eyes that just makes you forget everything that has just occurred. That's what you want here from this game tonight. I wish I never watched this myself. It was halfway through the second period. I'm sitting there watching this going, oh my God, I have to go through another half a period of this, another 20 minutes in the third period, and then we got to go on, and you poor people have to sit here and wait for me to come on here and talk about it. Like, I was at the point, I'm just sitting there like, we should just start this stream now, because this is not getting any better. And I think that that's another frustrating thing. Like, I don't want to be negative Nancy, and I'm not going to do negative Nancy over the whole thing on a big scale, like large picture. Like, this is a shit game that happened here tonight, and as I just said, you want to pretend it never happened. But I was like, the positives would be, are you going to fight back? Like, you weren't out of this one completely. There was points it was 3-0, 4-0. Okay, yeah, you could get this back. You could make this a game. Even if you don't win, you can try to tighten this thing up and kind of fight your way back into this one and make it competitive. 5-1 into the third period. Yeah, obviously, odds are not in your favor to come back and win this thing, but make it 5-2, 5-3. Like, why could you not have done that here tonight? We see other teams in years past, I'm not going to say this year because it's felt a little different through the couple of games, but we've seen other teams in years past do it to this Leafs team. Up 5-1, up 4-0, claw back, and we sit here panicking as a fan base thinking we're going to blow this one. And it's like, we can't do that. You just shut it off and said, fuck it, we're not going to play anymore here tonight. That was a shit game to watch. Excuse the language, I'm sorry. It was just so tiring to watch that game and just sit there and watch this pathetic performance. And Samurai saying I couldn't get a stream working tonight, thankfully. You are so lucky that you didn't have to watch that. It's just like, we go on here last night and we talk about with Rosie that was genuinely one of the best games I've seen this team play. Not this year, not in the last couple of years, but like since these guys have joined this team, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, since they have been here. Last night was one of the best games, if not the best game, I've ever seen them play in the regular season. They followed it up with, I shit you not, one of the worst performances I've ever seen them play. Not this was a bad game. This was one of the worst games I've ever seen. From just the whole thing. It was lacking legs, not able to complete passes. The hands were not there. Every time the puck hit their stick, it was bouncing off. They were turning it over. They couldn't get across the blue line. This is a team that plays with possession. This is a team that needs to carry the play and have the puck on their stick and get in the zone and pin guys in and wear them out and then send your big boys out there to put the final knife in the coffin or whatever. Brain not even functioning on that level right now. The final dagger in the coffin, the nail in the coffin, and say that's it. And then the big boys come over the boards and they score. This was so Leafy. You pumped Tampa Bay last night at home. Prime time, everyone watching, everyone tuning into the Amazon Prime game, and you strangled the Lightning. You gave them no life, you gave them no opportunity, and you didn't let them back in it. It was one of the best feelings I've had watching this team in the regular season ever. Outside of watching like milestones and guys hitting 60, 70 goals, 100 points, whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, those are cool things to watch too. Last night was one of the best feelings I've ever had watching this Leafs team. And then you fold it over to tonight where after 20 minutes, I was saying, turn this shit off. I don't want to watch this anymore. I'm done. And that's the frustrating thing. And I know that there's going to be people in the chat right now. I know that there's going to be people who come and comment on this stream after the fact and watch it back tomorrow and are all going to say the same thing. Oh, overreacting. We told you this is who this team is. This is the issue that I take with this. And I'm sure that Nick and Rosie will probably be a little more level-headed, having a little bit more time on this and to think about it and get to it tomorrow. And I applaud them, and I sometimes wish I had that ability as well. But right now in the moment, the frustrating thing with this is there are other teams who will drop games like this. Other teams who are contenders. Whatever. It happens. Like, you have a stinker. The problem comes for me, and that the conversation we had last night is that you're going into Game 7 of the regular season. Not game 45 or 62 where it doesn't really matter and it's not that noticeable and you're banged up and you're tired and blah, 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 blah. This was pathetic from start to finish. You didn't start on time. You looked out of it right away. You looked like you had no legs. You looked like you didn't want to be there. Your goalie was not very good here tonight and again. And it's just like you follow up a performance like that drags Leafs fans in and says, we are different, to tonight. That is now an embarrassing look for Leafs fans who just went around and deservingly paraded what happened last night against the Lightning. Last night was a proud moment for Leafs fans to watch the way that they played. And then DizK saying they've done this for 8 years. How was anyone surprised? It's like, I'm half on DizK's side here and half like, the problem is that it shouldn't be that anymore. It should be different. It should be a new team, a new look, a new feel, just a different attitude and culture. We put out a video on this channel earlier today of a clip from last night, and I was watching it back earlier today, and it's me and Rosie talking about how this is different. There's a new culture. You fought to the end. You were up. You didn't let Tampa in. You beat the wheels off Tampa physically, emotionally, mentally. And it's like, okay, can you bring that into tonight? Brian saying third game in 4 nights. I'm sore after one. I'm giving a pass tonight. I get it, Brian, but I think that the issue with myself and a lot of other Leafs fans comes is that we give these passes every year. You give these passes for 9 fucking years. How many more times can you give the pass? Because we just blow games to these crappy teams. You want to give that pass? That's great. Tampa flew and played Toronto last night in Toronto. They got their shit kicked. They went to New Jersey tonight, had a very similar travel, had a very similar situation, played at the same time on the same rest, and they went in there and they steamrolled the Devils. So why could they do it and Toronto couldn't? And I'm not talking about winning the game. They didn't have to win the game here tonight, but it was just like nothing. There was nothing. No energy, no life, no jam, nothing. I am so excited to tune in tomorrow as well. One thing on this, all of this, that I can't wait for tomorrow. And as I'm talking about this, it's like, it's a frustrating thing because last night I watched this team. What happens when Tampa goes down? Whether you like it or not, as a Leafs fan, whether you like it or not, or as a fan of the NHL, Tampa Bay and the Boston Bruins get pissy. And we sit there at the end of these games, if you're beating Boston and you're like, be careful because Boston and Tampa are going to go out there, they're going to run you, they're going to hit you hard, they're losing, they don't care. They want to fight, they want to get pissy, they want to get sad, they want to get angry, and we look at it and say, oh, that's embarrassing. How could you act that way? How could you act that way? Guess who goes to more fucking playoff rounds and conference finals and Stanley Cup finals than us here in Toronto? The teams that we sit there and say, that's embarrassing. You shouldn't act like that. And it's because they give a shit and they get pissed off when they're losing and they act out that way. Whether you think it's right or wrong, there's a difference. They hate losing so much. They lose their minds at the end of these games, and they go nuts on you. And last night, we talked about it with Rosie, the Leafs, they fought till the final buzzer. And as much as Tampa tried to push on them and get pissed, the Leafs said, fuck it, and we're coming right back at you. We're going to get in it. Tonight, it was just like, the only guy doing anything was Max Domi. I need to know what those guys tomorrow morning are gonna talk about, like when it comes to why there was no energy, why there was no life out of these guys when you got down. It was 3-0. You've got Ryan Reeves in the lineup for David Kampf. He's sitting on his hands. Why didn't that guy fight? It's not the only reason he's here, I know, but it's a big part of it. It's a big part of his job, who he is, how he impacts this team, the locker room, the energy that's going on. No one in that room looked around and said, fuck it, I'm going to do something here tonight. No one looked around. Like, I saw Nick tweet during the game, and he's right, and it's a sad thing to say to an extent, but Matthew Knies is the best guy here on the Leafs tonight. And that's not saying much because everyone was pretty much shit in this performance, which, yeah, it happens. I get it, but it was just in sync 100% across the board. No one was really good, other than fucking Connor Timmins had himself a great night here as well. But outside of that, it's just like we had no one step up. Knies played pretty well here as well again tonight. I thought he was still physical. That's kind of it. But you have other guys that could step up and do something and say, let's get some life in this team. And they don't. And that's when I look around and just say, who's going to be the guy who does this? Because as much as we hate it, it's like Nikita Kucherov is crying and swinging his stick at guys, and Brad Marchand is kneeing guys in the back of the legs and taking you out and hitting you in the hips and doing dirty shit. And I don't want people doing dirty shit, but it's just like we complain and then they go further than us because they clearly hate losing. These guys are like there was a camera cut on the bench, and I get it, it's 5-1 or 6-1 at that point, I know, but there's a camera cut to the bench. It's in the third period. There's like 15 minutes left. Obviously, it feels more over than it is, but it's not actually over. We saw, they showed it on the broadcast tonight. Last year, they were able to come back. They were able to fight their way back from down 5-0. It was at least 5-1 here tonight. Camera cut to the bench, and this is all you see. Mitch, JT just sitting like this. Who's going to do something? Why is someone not on the bench screaming at these guys from the players? Like, why is a player not saying, let's go, get up, do something, get involved, win the... Like, let's not get out of here just with this embarrassing performance. It's not even about winning the game. It's about these, like, are you going to wake up and dial into these situations and just try to fight out of it and try to climb back? Those are the ones that I don't understand. How do you just let that happen and you just get walked? And it's so embarrassing. And we look around and it's like, oh, different team. And then something like that happens tonight. And it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's just last night was so impressive. To follow it up with this tonight just makes it feel like absolutely nothing changes with this team. And I don't think it's just me that feels that way. That's what I don't get with this. Tomorrow, honestly, I will say this. It happens every time we do these as well. Might wake up tomorrow morning and be like, well, it wasn't that bad. But right now, after what I just watched, coming off of that and sitting in the chair and going live 5 minutes after the game ends, like, I want to claw my eyes out and never watch a game again. That's how frustrating this was. Robert, I gave this team no pass tonight for this loss under any excuse. Yeah. And I think even it makes it more frustrating because it's like, what were the bright spots? To me, it was that I thought Matthew Nyes was the best player yet again here for this team. Bar was pretty low because no one played that well, but I mean, the fact that the kid's showing up every night, kudos to him. Gets another goal here. Another goal for him. Bang. There's a bright spot. Bright spot number 2. I like Nick Robertson scores. Gets his first of the regular season. It sucks because it's a garbage time goal that really doesn't matter, but that third line finally gets something going at 5-on-5. It's Johnny T into the middle, gets a shot off Tarasov, who goalied again. I don't know. I hope people aren't saying that tomorrow morning. Oh, that'll make my brain explode. Tarasov can't handle it. Nick Robertson grabs a puck, buries it past him into an empty net. Good for him to be able to break that. I mean, another positive, I guess, penalty kill. You got 6 goals scored against you here tonight, and the penalty kill somehow didn't seem to allow one in a game where you took a bunch of penalties. So 6 goals against, and yet you somehow walk away with 4 for 4, on the penalty kill. You want to go to the flip side, though? Negative. 0 for 3 on the power play. Not a good Columbus team. Yeah, they're going to play hard and they want to beat you. Fair enough. But not a very good Columbus team. Not the greatest goalie in the world. 0 for 3 on the power play. Like, it's just these things all night. It's like, okay, there's a slight positive. Boom. Huge negative. Connor Timmins. Somehow this kid, I'm like looking at him, I'm like, oh my God, he's actually having a good game. The Leafs lost 6-2. I look across the lineup, I'm like, this was pretty much garbage from everyone. Connor Timmins was +2 tonight. He played 17 minutes. He was +2. He moved the puck pretty well. He was getting up ice. Tavares, +2 as well. How? Where were these guys coming from, man? But, yeah. Like, Timmins, I thought he actually had a pretty good game. You go to any of the advanced metrics on Timmins here tonight, they show that he played pretty well as well. I lost my... There it is. Connor Timmins was a 90.22% expected goals for here tonight. Percentage. 90.22. The next closest guy was John Tavares on the Leafs. He was, it will be so wonderful if this should show up, 69.5%. And William Nylander was just below John Tavares there. So it's like, okay, at least 69.49%. So a couple of these guys were at least able to be more effective in their minutes that they were on the ice than not. Willie ends this game at dead even. No plus, no minus on this one. But, like, another negative onto this. Throw this in there. Another negative is your goalie, who is this young kid who looked really good in his first game, and you were hoping could potentially have some sign of, like, stud in him, which I think is there, but he got shelled tonight. He did not look that great. He seemed to handle it well. I will give him kudos. And the Leafs are not going to pull him out of this because it's like it was not his fault that this was the score. The team played like garbage in front of him, but you just don't, like, you're not going to just throw Stolarz back in there on the second night of the back-to-back and throw him to the Wolves as well. You kind of got to say to everyone, you either get him out of it or he's got to, like, you just got to dig out of this on your own. We cannot pull this kid out. Yeah, Glimgy, another negative. Patches got hurt too. Berube says they'll know more tomorrow. No update tonight. Lower body injury. Like, that's another negative in this. Like, a garbage game that sucked. And they throw that on top. Like, that, it's just a tough... I'm just reading this quote that just popped up on my phone. Mark Masters tweeted out a quote from Mitch Marner here tonight. Just not good enough from the start, not competitive enough throughout the game. They brought their best and we brought our worst. I mean, at least he's honest. At least he's honest. At least he said what happened. Because that was a garbage game from this team. And that's at least what we're all thinking. So... yeah. This is a frustrating one. There's a couple super chats. I want to get to some of these here as well. We did hit 100 likes last night on the stream. So for you guys who were there, you want to know how much of a gong show this whole thing was. Live in an apartment, obviously. Wi-Fi went out yesterday as well, just a little behind the scenes. That's why I was doing that in an office where it looked like I was being held hostage. Wi-Fi goes out here, doesn't come back up all day, do all the reset, turn on, turn off, turn on, unplug, plug back in, all that garbage. Never comes back. The provider says, we got to send someone tomorrow. Guy comes here today, he's looking at the Wi-Fi box. He says to me, what happened? How's this go out? I said, I don't know. It just dropped. Just never came back on. So he said, I'm going to go downstairs in the building. Nothing's wrong with your box. Nothing's wrong with the cables. Nothing's going on in here. So I got to go check downstairs. He goes downstairs. He's down there for like 15, 20 minutes in the whatever down area of the apartment complex. And this guy says, someone else got Wi-Fi installed and they unplugged their cable. I lost Wi-Fi for like 27 hours in the apartment. And it's because some other guy unplugged our cable. And then the Leafs dropped this shit on me. What a joke. What a joke. So yeah, I do the thing in the studio yesterday. Or from work yesterday. Don't have the salts with me. That's on me. You know, sometimes it's about preparation. I wasn't prepared. You gotta deal with the bounces. I didn't deal with them yesterday. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. Didn't have the salts. You guys hit 100 likes, and I couldn't give you the salts. So I'll do it right now. I'll give you one right now. Then when you hit 50 again, I'll do another one. And then when you hit one later on, I'll do another one. So let's do the smelling salts for you guys. Thank you so much to everyone who liked the stream last night, who subscribed, who's liked the stream so far here. Cheers. There you go. Whoa. Okay. Super chats. Let's get to it. Oh my God. First super chat. Jeff McKay. Thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. Jeff says, nice to see the Leafs bring back the old classics. Losing to a shit team on the back of a great game. I wonder how bad Chief will work them. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the problem, right? Right, Jeff? Like, this is very much so a Leafs of old type of game. And I think that's the thing that scares me, where most people are going to be like, oh, you can't live and die with every game, and I get that, but it's the PTSD. Like, even Nick said as well, and like, I'm sure you guys will hear it, it's like PTSD about losing to Columbus in the playoffs. Like, I'm sure they'll talk about it tomorrow as well, but it's like, yeah, that hits, and I feel that, and then on top of that, it's like, I mean, I saw Brian Hayes tweet out as well during this game, like, or at the end of this game, pretty much throwing away games to bad teams has always been the Leafs thing. New coach, new players, doesn't matter. Play a game, great game against Tampa, and then get pumped by Columbus. That's Leafy 101. It's like, yeah, that's literally what this team does, and that's what we should have all expected out of this group. Brian, they will win the next game and lose on Saturday. Like, probably. That's the way it goes, and it's just like it feels too predictable from that standpoint. And I think that's where it goes. It's like, how are we just bouncing around with the old Leafs here yet again? It's like it should be different. You need to figure this out. And as far as Chief goes and how Chief's going to handle this one, the one thing that I kind of agreed with when I was hearing them talk about it on the panel and discussing, like Gord and MJ discussing during the game here as well, was, okay, how do you kind of handle this? Because if Chief just goes in there and just rips these guys apart and just gives it to them, like, at some point it could just wear off because it's over the top. This is kind of the one that you expect, or you would think, especially for those who have been around good coaches or good locker rooms, is that after the first period, there's probably a stern talking to, maybe not a ripping of paint off the wall, but a stern talking to during this game. And then after the first period, when you don't wake up, it's the second period is just nothing. And then probably into the third period, it's just like you're there's nothing. This is one of those ones where he goes in the room after, or doesn't even go in the room. He just leaves, right? Like that's kind of the situation. Go to the locker, go to the coach's room, wait there, get on the bus, get out, and you just pretend it never happened. You tell the guys wake the hell up, doesn't happen, and then you deal with it tomorrow morning when you bag skate the hell out of them. Like, those are the kinds of ones where it's like, you're not going to rip the guy, but it's like, hey, you don't want to show up when you go and play Columbus? How about we work now? You know, you didn't want to work on the road when we have to travel there after we just showed that we could handle these top tier teams, these playoff teams, contending teams. You don't want to handle business against the Columbus Blue Jackets. You're gonna work here now. And that kind of feels like it's going to be the case, but you also want some of the players to take some of the accountability for this and say, hey, this isn't going to happen. We're not going to let this happen again, and then have them have that conversation. But who knows? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond, right? This is where I don't want to like go too much into, hey, it's over. Like, this team stinks. It's not going to happen. They're always the same. But genuinely, the sentiment of tonight's stream, I hope that when we walk away from this one, is like, this was very much just scare the shit out of you moment where it feels like it's just the same old, same old. Thank God it's early and didn't happen middle of the season, I guess, to kind of get this out and have Berube see this and be able to jump on some of this and choke it out and say this won't happen again. But I don't know. It's still upsetting. It's still upsetting to see. It's just going to be like that. Another super chat here from our friend Tammy. Tammy, also known as Tams in the chat there. This game, sometimes I don't pre-read these. A lot of you guys I know and at least trust that I'm just going to get to and it's going to be fine. So you just get a real reaction in real time. This game tonight is exactly what I would describe my love life as. Travesty. Well, Tammy, I'm sorry to hear that. And also, I can now see that there's replies to these super chats. That's pretty funny. I didn't even realize that. Trent, I hear that, Tams. Classic. Get you excited and let you down. Kind of couple of games. Wow. You know what? I'm glad that the Leafs Nation After Dark chat is bringing people together like that. Just a nightmare game, and you guys can come here in the chat and bond over up and down Leafs and travesty of love life. Sad, but you're doing it. All right. We did hit 50 likes here, so thanks to everyone who's liked, subscribed. I will do the smelling salts, and then I still owe you one more for last night. So thank you guys very much. Let's do the smelling salts. We'll hit these now. As we go through this one here tonight, I'm seeing a lot of quotes come out from this. There's not really too much else that I'm going to add. Like, what am I going to do here? Unless you guys really want me to, but I kind of got my point across. I kind of just want to dig into some of these quotes coming out from some of the players and Berube and stuff following this game here tonight. I think that this might be the best way to break this one down because as of right now, what am I going to do? Break down each individual goal? Like I told you already, I think this is one that the team takes and throws the tape out and pretends it never happened. So I don't think we should be overanalyzing some of the tape on this stuff. I think it's a general kind of breakdown about what went on and how things happened and what was right and wrong for this team here tonight, but I don't think we need to go too crazy. So let's go with the smelling salts. You did hit 50 likes. Thank you guys. Keep it going. Keep hitting the likes and let's get up. Whew. Oh, there you go. Another one, funny comment I just want to shout out. You guys are a pretty funny chat. That's kind of one of the things that makes this really easy to do a show all on your own here for 45 minutes to an hour, especially after some of these just devastating games. Shout out to Diz K, who after I read Tammy's super chat, Diz K said, because Tammy said this game and this Leafs team is like her love life, a travesty. Diz K says, Tammy, you've been gaslighting your boyfriend for 8 years? ? That's a good comment. Tim, you were a smelling salts guy on the bench A in rep B/AA. I mean, no, what the fuck? What are you taking digs at me for, Tim? You got a Sens logo as your profile. What are you yapping about? What are you coming over here for to throw chirps? You've been in a 7-year rebuild, guy. Why are you chirping me? Come on. Have some class. Anyways. Let's get to some of the quotes that are coming out from this team here tonight that we're seeing tweeted out by Mark Masters right now. Credit to him I know, Tim. I'm just kidding. I know you're messing. I'm messing too. We're good. Let's get to some of these quotes. I kind of want to analyze some of these. Talk about what happened and kind of how they're feeling. I know that's going to be dug up tomorrow, but I want to get through some of these now because I want to give my takes on it. But Max NTSL saying I fell asleep and it looks like I didn't miss anything with this game. No, you didn't. Okay, here's some of the ones that I wanted to dig into. This one I like a lot. You want to look for positives. You want to talk about things that I think you can take away from this and actually feel, I don't know if you feel good about it necessarily, but you want to take some positives away. Why don't you just take a look into some of the Berube comments from tonight here and how he's kind of responding to this game and how ugly this one was for this Leafs team. I mean, taking a look over at a tweet out from Mark Masters. Actually, you know what? As we get into this here, as we're gonna dig into some of these quotes and stuff, let's just do our Twitter game quote reaction, brought to you by Square. If you run a restaurant, you're too busy for this ad. You're thinking about how to get more orders flowing, and new locations opening. You need to get more customers and keep them coming back. So really, you're already thinking about Square, because Square Restaurant Tech helps more than 400,000 restaurants do all those things and more. So when you're thinking about your restaurant, think bigger and think Square. Go to square.ca and see why Square is big in restaurants. Also, make sure to check out Square. The link is in the description of this show here, but let's get to it and let's dig into some of what we've got for some of the quotes coming out. And we'll start with this one from Masters, because you want to go with Spin Zone. This one to me is one that you can take. I think that this is a pretty great quote from Berube, and is something that I think Leafs fans can at least like kind of look forward to with this team moving forward to a degree here, and how they're going to respond to some of this stuff. But if you take a look at the screen, Mark Masters tweeted out, quote, with Berube, "It boils down to they outskated us, they outworked us, and they were a harder team than we were. Bottom line." And then Masters asked him, back-to-back with travel, fatigue a factor? Berube, "That's an excuse, though, isn't it? So I'm not going there." I love this. I mean, yeah, the game sucked, but like I see in the chat there, Tim, Berube is a person that knows how to win. I think that it's kind of reflected in this statement. They outworked us. They were a harder team than we were. Bottom line. Travel, fatigue, that's an excuse. I'm not going there. No excuses. Like, I think that Berube would not be pissed off with the result of this game if you just lost. If you just straight up lost this game, you got to at least come in here and you worked hard and you tried and you showed up and you gave it a good effort and had a tough performance, but you are hard to beat. Whatever, you lost. I think that Berube could at least come in and be like, hey, it just didn't go our way. Work on a couple of things. It's fine. Straight up comes out and says, they outskated us. They outworked us. They were harder than we were, bottom line, and no excuses. Like, we did not show up here. We did not have a good game. We did not have a good performance. We did not have good effort. And he acknowledged all those things. He acknowledged that all of those were issues that led to this team losing this game in an embarrassing fashion. You want a positive spin on tonight's game? That's one. Like, Berube immediately accepting and taking accountability for the fact that this was a terrible game and he will not allow excuses to play a factor in this. I respect that. And I appreciate that from him. And I hope that he turns that around and it's reflected amongst the guys in the locker room, because I think that that's a good thing and something that you want to hear from the coach of this team, that for years and years and years, we've heard excuses and we've heard them get let off the hook. That's not an opportunity for them to be let off the hook here. That's pretty much saying, hey, that's not going to happen again, because that's embarrassing. They outworked us. That can't happen. Kudos to Berube. Another one, just kind of adding on, and it's one of the things that we did say here in the chat, but another quote from these guys presented by Square here, looking over at what we've got from Berube. "I didn't feel like we skated very well tonight. They skated through us all night. We didn't win any puck battles tonight. Didn't defend very well tonight, and that's what you get. The only thing that was good tonight was the penalty kill." We said that, hey, 100% on the penalty kill. I thought they were pretty decent. But outside of that, yeah, it's like, it's what we talked about. You guys asked me, Robert asked me at the very beginning, can you give us a positive spin on this? No. No, like, penalty kill, yep. Nick Robertson, yep. Matthew Nyes. That's the positives. But those aren't even a positive spin on the game. Those are just the few bright spots of tonight. You lost battles. You lost foot races. You just got out-tried, out-worked, out-hustled. They wanted it more than you, and if the other team wants it more than you in the NHL, a lot of nights they're going to be able to beat you no matter how much talent you have, because this is the greatest league in the world, and there is a lot of parity, and anybody can beat anybody on any given night. So if you don't show up, you don't put in the effort, there's a good chance you're going to get your teeth kicked. You did here tonight. It doesn't matter. Columbus, Anaheim, San Jose, Tampa Bay, the LA Kings, Dallas Stars, Colorado, Edmonton, doesn't matter. You don't show up and put in an effort, there's a good chance the other team is just going to absolutely snuff you out. That's what happens. So couple of quotes there from tonight's game. There's not too much else. Obviously, Matthews kind of came out and talked after and just explained what was going on. They weren't very good with gaps, didn't transition very well. Those things we all knew. Nothing really worlds breaking or anything exciting from that perspective, so not too much exciting going on there. The other thing he did say when they were kind of asked what response he expects on Thursday, he said a good one for sure. Obviously, we got St. Louis coming in. Chief used to coach there. We just got our butts handed to us a little bit. It's a busy week for us, so there's no time to sulk over this. Kind of just a bland PR trained response. I get it. I don't have any issues with this as well. Like, I'm not going to harp on the comments made here by Matthews. This is pretty much what you're going to get out of him after a loss like that. I think for the most part, if this was a loss in the middle of the season and this had gone on for a couple of games or a week or whatever, maybe you expect a different response publicly. Maybe it goes in there and just tears some people to shreds or just says, hey, calls out the team in the media. It doesn't have to be people, but just says, hey, this stunk. We stunk. That's pathetic performance. Can't have that anymore. Blah, blah, blah. But right now, I think this is a pretty appropriate response. Don't overreact. Don't show any signs of panic. New guy wearing the C there. So I think those are some appropriate responses from tonight for this game. It's a stinky performance for this group and a crappy way for you to go down here tonight, but you can't dwell on it too much. I still am going to maintain that this is very frustrating as a Leafs fan because it feels like we just kind of went right back to where we were before and fell back into the whole experience of, one night you're one team and the other night you're another, and it's the Jekyll and Hyde, you never know what you're going to get kind of situation, and it's pretty frustrating to watch because it feels like that kind of carries over into the playoffs, and on any given night you could get a real good defensive team or great goalie performance and offense is clicking, and the next it just disappears into thin air, and that stuff sucks. So that is always why the frustration is going to come out the way it did at the beginning of the show here tonight. So apologies if maybe it comes out right away like overreaction or like extra panic. I'm sorry, but it's just genuine reaction to the way that this goes. And I think a lot of you kind of resonate with that and what happened here tonight. Okay. Anything else? Oh yeah. Let's get to our other best bet here tonight, which, good God, these are really not going well for us over the last few. So let's get over to tonight's best bet and recap that. And this segment is brought to you by Bet365, a proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation after dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. When you sign up today, make sure you use code NATION. That's NATION. Code NATION. NATION when you sign up today. And if you've been tailing the picks that we've been giving out on the pregame show, Bet365 will be happier than anybody because we are now on a streak of 5 consecutive losses. We are 2-6 on the year. 7 games. We gave out 2 in one of the games. Now we are officially down 1 unit, 1.2 units. Yeah, it sucks. And you guys aren't going to want to hear excuses on it. I think the handicap of this one was exactly as a lot of you would have expected. Does this not scream Mitch Marner game? Mitch Marner anytime goal plus 220. This is the night Mitch gets his cookies. He goes in there against Columbus, puts up a bunch of points, lights up the board, and we all walk away and said, wow, what a night for old Mitchie. And then you realize, oh yeah, it's Columbus, whatever. Well, the concept was there. I got my teeth kicked in. Got nothing out of Mitch. Got nothing out of this Leafs offense, really. The only goal that gets scored from that first line is Matthew Nyes. The rest of them, they're all -3 on the night. Marner, 5 shots on goal still. Nyes, 5 shots. Matthews actually the least amount of on that line. He only has 2 shots on goal here tonight. So I'm not going to lie to you. I apologize. I own up for it. That's another losing bet. We got to turn this around on Thursday, but yeah, that's it just felt like, hey, this is the Mitch game. This is the game Mitchie shows up and gets on the board for a couple and walks away with 4 or 5 points, and then gone. Didn't show up. Had a bad one. Team stunk. I mean, if you want the honest truth, the only other way that I was looking in this one was potentially an under. That would have got shattered too. So, pick your poison. We played it small on the Mitch goal. I would have played it bigger if it was on the under, and we stayed off the under. I gave out the goal, and both would have lost. So, bright side of all this, we lost a little bit less than normal. So, 1.2 units down. I don't even. What else am I going to say on that? That's on me. It's on me. It is. I apologize. Okay, let's get through rest of what we've got here for tonight's show as far as things go with some of the housekeeping that we've got. We are through all the super chats. I owe you guys one more smelling salts. I did the one for the 50 last night. I did one for the 50 here tonight, and I owe you because you guys got it to another 100 last night. So I owe you guys one more here. So thanks for liking the stream. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Let's do this. Also, we're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers here on this channel. I would ideally like it by the end of October. If we can get it to November 1st, like, why not? I mean, you want to talk about, before I even do this, you want to talk about content that's being brought to you guys as far as the Leaf stuff goes. Monday through Friday, Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, right here on this channel. The boys are breaking down everything that's going on, talking about stuff from the night before, teeing up the next game that's coming up. And on top of all that stuff, they've got former players, current players, whatever it might be coming through. Matt Sundin was on the show earlier today. You want to know who they're following it up with as we tee up a Thursday night game against the St. Louis Blues and Craig Berube's former team, Braden Shen, coming up from the St. Louis Blues on the show tomorrow. Like, why would you not be subscribed here to the channel? The Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube, Leafs Morning Take, wherever you get your podcast, the Leafs Nation After Dark, wherever you get your podcast. If you want to listen to this show, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. You don't want to miss any of that. Thank you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Let's do the smelling salts. Last one on the night. Thank you. Oh, there you go. Oh my goodness. Okay. Two things before we can get out of here. We have to get to play the game. And I don't even know. I actually normally just come prepared with something, and I know what I'm going to do for my play of the game. Genuinely, you guys have to help me. Start sending yours in the chat, and I'll just talk about some of them if there are any. If not, we get on with it. And then we got to get to our grade. Let's get here first to the play of the game. Okay, play of the game. Born Terra, thank you. I mean, yeah, that's probably play of the game. I mean, the Nye's goal, it's a nice play by the kid. He hustles, gets down there in the offensive zone, gets the puck in the slot, 360 rip, top corner. That's probably my play of the game. This one was so, I'm sorry guys, this feels like the least prepared ever. Yeah, Securis and Price in the chat there. Shout out to them. Subscribe there as well. But play of the game. Line change at the start of the second period. Probably maybe one of them yeah. That's what this game was. I mean, I feel so lame. Not being able to provide you guys with something actually legit. But yeah, the nice goal. But it just felt like such a nothing burger kind of game. Like it was just something that happened. It was like, okay. And it was like, I never felt excitement from it. I guess maybe a play of the game could go to Robertson, who scored. He gets his first of the season. Maybe that helps Tavares in that line. They get going at 5-on-5. Maybe they could start generating something. Maybe Robertson gets some confidence. I was getting a little frustrated with them because it's like you gave us all this excitement that you could score goals in the preseason. You get into all of a sudden regular season and you're 6 games in and no goals from the goal scorer that everyone's telling me in the preseason. You can't trade him, can't trade him. This kid could score 30, he could score 35. And it's like, well, like we're all just saying that, like we don't know, and he hasn't done it, and now it's all of a sudden like every year there's been this consistent inconsistency out of him and the team, I guess, as a whole, but he hadn't scored, and kind of just sitting here being like, when's it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? Good for him to get that under his belt here tonight. I want to see if he can continue this forward. Like, is there going to be offensive generation, or are you going to put it in the back of the net? Because wonderful. Yeah, you got one. What happens now? Right? That's kind of like, what's the next step? It's kind of the same thing that I have with this team as well. Like, great. You had the game against Tampa. What do you do tomorrow against Columbus? Tonight, as we played it against Columbus. Well, pardon my language, but you kind of fucked off. You were amazing last night. Disappeared tonight. Who are you going to be on Thursday? The team that you were against Tampa? The team that you were against Columbus? Somewhere in the middle? Which one of them's your identity? Ryan Wheatley, how have you not talked about Hildeby? It was an awful game all around, but God, that was awful goaltending. I mean, I did kind of talk about Hildeby. I just have not like keyed in on it. It was brought up in the conversation of how the whole team played. Dodge is saying Hildeby looked like a nervous ass kid. I agree. Part of it is like, okay, it was his second game. He played so well on the game against New Jersey. It's like, I don't want to just jump on him right away here and be like, this kid stunk. Like, I have panic about him. Like, I'm not overly worried right now. And part of the problem was I feel like the team played so bad in front of him. It just exposed a lot. Like in that game against New Jersey, they played really well and he played pretty well and they kind of just helped each other. Tonight, they were terrible. He was terrible. It was not helpful to either side. So I do agree with you there, Dodges. I agree with you, Ryan. He was really, really bad tonight. He was shaky. He looked uncomfortable. He looked nervous. But I think that the team in front really did not help. They gave him no support, and they kind of hung him out to dry a little bit. So, like, as much as I do agree with you guys. It's like, I'm not going to come on here and rip him for this performance. He's a kid, he's learning, and I think that it's the veterans in front of him need to be much more responsible and much better here tonight to just not completely sewer the guy for this kind of performance, a young kid trying to figure it out. So I do agree with you guys, but genuinely I will say, like, I don't want to just rip on him for this one. It stunk from everyone, top to bottom. Except for Connor Timmins, +2, somehow. Good for him. Timothy Liljegren, like, how's he getting in here? Grade of the game here. Final thing before we wrap this one up. Grade of the game tonight. I mean, there's one answer. I don't even know why I paused there. It's an F. It's an F. It's a failure on all accounts. Actually, the only thing that could even get it close is having penalty kill be good, but F. Robertson goal does not move the needle for me. Penalty kill being 100% does not move the needle for me here tonight. There was no effort, there was low effort, I should say, There was no energy. There was no excitement. I could not believe for the life of me that Ryan Reeves didn't decide to go and fight, or someone decided to fight and try to bring some energy, or somebody run through somebody. Like, nothing like that happened. It felt like they just reverted to the old Maple Leafs. They went back into their shell and they said, forget it. This isn't our night tonight. We want out of here. And I get it. Yeah, some of those nights you're just going to have you're just going to have a off night. It happens and you're going to lose these games, but you got to like fight back. That's the thing that I was frustrated with here tonight as well. Like, Mark saying, I don't know if they could lose any harder is hilarious and true at the same time. That was so bad. You got pummeled in every aspect of this game. And there's just not really many redeeming things out of this one. Not too many positives. The biggest positive is Craig Berube and his comments after. And the fact that he got to see this out of these guys this early in the season and not too late. So, I mean, I guess that's a positive if we want it, but it's an F for me. That's going to do it for me for tonight's show. I was going to say a little bit of a shorter one, but like still 56 minutes on a solo, getting frustrated. Came in hot, kind of cooled down naturally, especially with you guys here in the chat as we talked through this, as we started to read some of the quotes coming out. So, yeah, that's where we're at on tonight's game. This is a pathetic one, but take it, throw it away, pretend it never happened. Let's move on. F's in the chat. F's all around. This one stunk. This was embarrassing. Let's move on. Let's get to Thursday's game against St. Louis. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be energetic. It's going to be hopefully full of life and salt and vinegar and snot and piss and mud and whatever other disgusting substances you could think of are going to be in that arena on Thursday night. I hope that that's all involved. I hope that these guys show the hell up for Craig Berube against his former team and they're able to get it done for him and at least play their asses off for him, because if not, there is going to be a serious conversation right here on the Leafs Nation After Dark when Nick joins me on Thursday night about if this team has any balls in at all, and then they'll be talking about it on Friday morning. So make sure to subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications. Nick and Rosie back here tomorrow morning. Braden Shen on the program, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, the Leafs Nation 401, wherever you right here on YouTube, Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast, Leafs Nation After Dark, wherever you find your podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching here tonight. That'll do it. Game number 7 for the Toronto Maple Leafs, dropping this one 6-2 to the Columbus Blue Jackets, moving to 4-3 on the season. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.